Andrew, Beer, how's this playing?
Look, we're still going down the path. We think a left-arm orthodox spinner is the right thing, both for the Ashes but also for our future. We want to get a good left-arm orthodox spinner for the subcontinent in particular. So, you know, Xavier played pretty well in Brisbane, but in Adelaide wasn't quite able to play the role that we wanted him to play. So, Michael Beer's, I suppose, come from nowhere, but he's had a good start to the domestic season. Someone we're very interested even before the season started, with some really good feedback from our talent management system and people in WA. So it's been interesting to see how he's gone. He got a few wickets against the Poms. He's a talented left-arm orthodox spinner, and hopefully he's someone who can play a big role in our future.
So he'll play in this test?
I would expect certainly so, yeah.
What's the message to Nathan Horrocks from that?
Oh, Nathan's a really good off-spinner who's obviously proved he can play international cricket successfully, but at the moment we think the left-arm orthodox is the right choice against England with a solely right-hand middle order. So we think that style of bowling is the right choice.
Given what you say about left-arm orthodox, have you got a little bit of a problem with Stephen O'Keefe sort of falling behind Horrocks in the New South Wales side and can't get again?
No, Stevens hasn't had the opportunities he would have liked. He's only played the one Shield game this year and obviously played in Australia A. He's done well in both games, so he's someone we're still very, very interested in. He's a good package, he fields well and he bats well. So we're looking hard at him as well. Just at the moment he's had a bit of a problem with the finger following Australia A and hasn't done the bowling that would have really made him be considered for this selection.
What's Beer done that's impressed you?
Look, he's quite tall for a left-arm orthodox spinner. Gets quite a bit of drop on the ball and quite a bit of rotation on it. But you know, he'll have to. The reality is he's got no international experience, and it's a big call from us to throw him into this position. But everything we get back is someone who's going to handle that pressure, which is critical, and we think he'll play a good role.
Is it a bit desperate though?
No. Well, the reality is we are searching for a spinner to take us into the future. We think we've had a lot of success with Nathan Horrocks. We think we've found a real good off-spinner for our future, but we do want to find a left-arm orthodox spinner, and hopefully this is the right way.
How stressful a time has it been, obviously for the players, but for you guys as selectors to go back and try and find the right fit?
Oh, it hasn't been stressful. It's been exciting, really. I mean, we're not playing well. We've been totally outplayed in all facets of the game so far, so we've got a lot to improve in all areas. But that's a great challenge. So I don't think it's stress. It's just a great challenge. We've got to get the mix right. We've made several changes. We hope those are the right changes, but we thought we needed to make changes to try and change the momentum of the series, really. One
of the stories that keeps springing up and won't go away is a lot of people calling for Shane Warne to come back. If he put himself up for a test match, would you consider playing him?
Shane retired, I think, 4 years ago from Test cricket for, I'm sure, very valid reasons, and I don't see that's something that he'd be considering himself. And as far as we're concerned, we've got to look forward to the future. We've got to try and win this Ashes series, obviously, but we're also very keen on where we're going to be in the next couple of years.
So you would never approach him now, even if you had to win it 1-1 entering Sydney?
Hasn't played international first-class cricket for 4 years, so I'm sure it's not something he's contemplating.
But Beer's only been playing for 1 year, something, so...
Takes a lot to be playing at that level of 4-day, 5-day cricket.
Talk us through the Mitchell Johnson scenario and how he's, I suppose, reacted and evolved since the last visit.
Look, Mitchell was obviously we're really keen on him coming back as soon as possible. He's been told that. Whether he's ready for Perth, I don't know quite yet. They've been doing a lot of remedial work on his action to try and get it to where it needs to be. A bit more like it was in South Africa 2 years ago, which is probably the best he's ever bowled in his international career. So that's the benchmark for Mitchell, and he knows that he needs to get back to that. So it's been quite an extensive program, strengthening certain areas of the body so that he can get back to being a bit taller at the crease, and a lot of work done, and still a work in progress, but we'll see how he pulls up. Probably about Monday, I think, is the first time he'll come off a long competitive run at training.
So you don't know if he's ready as we speak?
But it just depends how the remedial work's gone. He's got to get obviously up to match intensity and be able to hold it at match intensity. The progress has been really positive.
Could you pick him on that basis, given you don't really know what's going on?
Look, he's only had 2 weeks off cricket. It's probably not ideal, but it's not an ideal world.
Philip Hughes, what do you expect from him, and do you think he'll cement his place?
Sorry?
Philip Hughes?
Yeah, look, Phillips is probably not. I would have liked to be picking him with a few more hundreds under his belt. There's no doubt about that. But the advantage that Phil has, one, he's a young bloke. Two, averages 50 in international cricket or Test cricket, so we know he can do it. And I don't think he'll be fazed by the task at hand. They'll bowl really well to him. We'll have good plans against him, but he's a young kid. We think he'll adopt really well.
Sorry.
Yep.
I was going to say, how close were Kawaja and Ferg?
Look, they're obviously being considered. That's why they're in Australia A and then in an extended squad before the Ashes. So they're being considered, but Phil Hughes, we think, is the one that deserves the chance at the top of the order. Steve Smith's got the nod at number 6 because he also gives us leg spin options, which are pretty important to our attack. We've got to take 20 wickets.
Did Ferg's century today come into consideration at all?
To the extent that we knew it was happening and we were watching it as it was happening, but I mean, this selection process has probably been going on for 4 days, really.
And what about Hughes making 4 and 0 in 2 innings?
I think we've got to move past that at the moment. I mean, he's a young bloke we know can play international cricket. Very confident, very impressive young man. So I would have liked him to get 100 today, but he didn't. The reality is we've got to put some faith in some of these young blokes that they'll stand up. He's certainly someone we know can stand up, and I'm sure will stand up.
Steve Moore's made some comments, are you chopping and changing too much at the moment?
Oh, well, if you don't make changes, you're too conservative. You make changes, you're chopping and changing. You can't win unless you win. So we've got to go out there and try and win a Test match, and then people can make their decisions.
But what about Bollinger? Where's he at?
Well, Doug's been omitted from the squad, obviously. We thought bowled all right at Adelaide, but the reality is he probably hasn't done quite enough work. His pace has dropped off pretty dramatically after his first spells. So, Doug's been given that message. The reality is we think these 4 fast bowlers are the right ones for Perth.
In hindsight, do you believe you got it wrong in Adelaide with your selections?
About what?
With the team, would you have liked to have had Horrocks safest, for example?
Oh no, Xavier Doherty did really well in Brisbane. We had to have a look. He was well performed domestically. We've got to have
I was talking about Adelaide.
Yeah, he did really well in Brisbane, so we picked him for Adelaide, and he didn't quite hold the lines and lengths he needed to.
And when you talk about the future, where's this leave Marcus North? Is that at the end, do you think?
No, look, we've showed a lot of support for Marcus, predominantly because he's got a lot of experience. He's obviously proved he can score Test match hundreds. He gives us off-spin bowling. I think he's 31 or 32 now. So, I mean, he hasn't made the squad because really, in the end result, he wasn't consistent enough, which is obviously something he's been told and he's aware of. I suppose Simon Kadich was probably in a similar position a few years ago when he was dropped for the Australian side at a similar age. And he went back and just made hundreds and demanded reselection, and then went on to have 3 of the best years of his career. So certainly not the end, but Marcus will need to knock the door down and prove he can be consistent.
Was this selection meeting, was this more difficult than others, or was it longer?
Well, we've just lost an Ashes Test match, and we're in a pretty difficult position, and we're being outplayed. So obviously there's a lot of thought gone into it, but I hope there's a lot of thought goes into them all.
How are you feeling yourself, Andrew? A fair bit of pressure's been put on yourself and the selectors. Do you feel the pressure at all?
I don't know. You say there's being pressure put on us. From my point of view, we're just doing our job. We're trying to pick the best possible side we can for Australia.
People are saying you're not doing it very well, though, Andrew. So is that, you feel
I'm not subject to that criticism. We're just doing our job. I'm finding it very exciting, very challenging, and hoping to get it right.
What about the punter? Do you see his position as captain coming under pressure if things don't turn around in the series?
If people are talking about that, they're simply wrong. We're in the middle of an Ashes series. It's not going well. We're not playing well. It's as simple as that. We're being totally outplayed, and we've got to change that around very quickly. The one person who can probably change that around very quickly is Ricky Ponting, both with the bat and in his leadership.
So you don't see his position as being on the line if we lose the series?
I think he's the man that's going to lead us through the Ashes, and hopefully successfully. We've got a big job ahead of us, but he's the right man.
How do you see Sybil going at the moment?
Yeah, bowling pretty well. Obviously, probably needs to be a little bit more consistent in his line and lengths, but he's working on that. He's someone we've invested some time in, and I think we'll continue to invest time in. He'll certainly be a successful international bowler.
And Ryan Harris looking pretty good. Is he totally fit, do you think, at the moment?
I think Ryan's probably to the stage where he'll carry little niggles through games, but he is extremely tough individual. If you ask me whether he's going to be fit for Perth, he'll be fit for Perth.
And you're happy the way he's going as well, obviously?
I thought he was pick of the bowlers at Adelaide, bowled really well. So, he's putting his hand up to demand a spot.
With the quicks, you've got the quicks to unsettle England on the wicket in Western Australia.
I don't know what everybody else is expecting. I'm expecting a very flat wicket in Perth. I don't think it's going to be the wicket that some people expect. I think it'll be a very good batting track. And we're preparing accordingly. People are going to be a bit critical of how the fast bowlers have gone, but the reality is our batters failed us in Adelaide. And if we really should have taken the advantage of winning the toss, and we should have been the ones bowling when the wickets started to turn and deteriorate. So all comes down to a poor batting performance, probably 14 minutes of cricket.
So no case of 4 pacemen then?
Sorry?
No case of 4 pacemen?
I very much doubt it. I'm expecting a very flat track in Perth.